Hi everybody, this is Nathan Graham over at RPR bringing you another video in our Data Dig series where we go through RPR, pulling information apart and hopefully being able to give you the tools and resources to guide your clients to better decisions. So part of that decision process is obviously understanding the information that you're giving them, and the best way to do that is usually by generating some reports. And so that's what I wanted to focus in on today. We have four kind of key reports that you can generate in RPR. The site selection report, the property detail report, the investment analysis report, as well as the trade area report. And so today what I wanted to do is kind of combine a lot of the videos we have already done, which if you haven't seen, you can go back to the YouTube playlist and go watch those. But we're going to kind of combine those into what might look like a presentation package for a client. So let's go ahead and we're going to start off by looking at the site selection process. So hopefully y'all remember, but if you don't, there is a site selection tool inside of RPR that's powered by the Esri economic and demographic and spending data sets. Basically allows you to identify smaller areas within a larger geography for the areas that kind of match the drivers of the business that your client has told you they want to be around. So you can see here, the darker the purple, the better the fit. Here are the attributes I have already set up. You can see it's kind of set for a medical family practice type of use case. And so we can come down here and you can see all the benchmarking information. And the reason I like to start off with this report is because it gives your client an idea as to your thought process behind where you even started looking for space. In my mind, it makes a lot more sense to identify the key attributes and then go find where those exist and then look for a property versus finding spaces that match the square footage needs and then later just finding out that the community doesn't really support that use or that intended business operation. So it's really easy to generate this report. All you have to do is come down here where it says Get Trade Area Analysis Report. You click on that. It's going to then drop you into the report page, which we're obviously going to visit a couple of times today. But I do want to point out, you can always click on that little plus sign. You can see this doesn't have a whole lot of elements to this report, just the map that we saw on the front page, the summary of the analytics search results, and then that grid or that benchmarking report, as I like to call it, are really the key elements there. So we'll leave all of those checked. And then you just kind of scroll down here to the bottom, or you could click on that floating run report option and generate that report that way. Now, I'm not going to show you the reports as we're walking through. I'm going to save them all until the very end and kind of do it like a little bit of a presentation package so you can kind of get the feel for what your client might see. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into a property that I found within one of those identified areas that have those supporting attributes. All right, so here we have a property that showed up in our results from the site selection search. And what I want to kind of key in on with the property details is just where you can add information about the properties themselves and have those show up on the reports. So the first place I always go down to is this property facts table, and you can see here public facts and listing facts, but you also have this your changes column, which is really great because when you add changes, it actually shows up on your report and gives your clients a little bit of an inkling as to some of the extra information that you're bringing to the table, the extra research. But in general, you can clarify information as being true. You can add details that don't show up in listing facts or the public facts. You can also show, sometimes you'll have discrepancies between the two, and you can clarify, maybe there was an addition made since the last time the public facts were updated. You can also add new rows. So this is kind of cool. You can type in a custom one if you want to, or you can just come down here, grab something like cap rate and type that in, and then you hit save. And now all of these details will not only show up on your report, but they also will just exist on this page. And so that's just for you. Nobody else gets to see them. So it's nice to kind of have this as a way to kind of track some of the information that you're collecting over the years. Now, continuing down, there's also the ability to add tenants. So we do have a company called SMR that goes out and collects tenant information. Sometimes they miss them. Sometimes people move in from when they collected the information. So I always like to point this out. If you just click on add another tenant, and we can call this Dr. Riley's family practice. Contact name is obviously Dr. Riley. Title, phone, you can type in whatever you want to here. And then you have the suite number, business type, move-in date, etc., etc. Whatever details you want to add, you can, but you hit the save button, and now this information is going to exist within RPR and exist within the reports as you begin to generate those. So those are kind of the key ones here. I will say that there are a couple different spots where you'll see this little notes, and when you click on the plus sign, you can actually add more details and choose to include those in a report or not. So that's kind of up to you. You'll see those on some cards here and there. The other way to add listing information is to come to this My Updates, and you can add a note straight here, or you can upload photos if you want to. This area is also where any notes or photos that were collected via the mobile device will also save. So that's another great way to add more information to these spaces per your client's wants and needs. The other thing we can do is if we scroll up just a little bit more, we can actually jump into the investment analysis tool, which we've highlighted before in a previous video. So let me go ahead and pull this one up. I actually have this one already started because really all I want to do is show you how to generate the report. But once you've come through and you've added all of your assumptions and renovations and so on and so forth, you might want to share that with your client or include that within the PDFs. It's really easy to do. All you have to do is come up here to File, and then click on Export, and then click on PDF. And then that is going to save to your desktop. And for this one, I'll give you a quick look at it because I'm going to actually attach this to the property detail. So the Valuate report, a lot of y'all have probably seen this. Just kind of a basic overview of the purchase, the sales, the equity returns if there's multiple investors. To me, this is kind of the key thing though, the annual cash flow showing on an unlevered as well as a levered basis, kind of what the returns are going to look like for that entire hold period. Okay, so now if we come back to the property detail page and scroll up, all we have to do is click on Create a Report. And since we exported that investment analysis, all of the reports have this option. You can click on Manage Custom Pages, and you can see here you can save up to 5 different reports or PDFs. Have to be smaller than 10 megabytes or less. They can't be password protected or anything like that. But you click on Add a Custom Page, select the PDF you want. You can put it at the beginning or the end. If you have multiples, you can group them by grabbing them right here. But then you just hit Save. And now, as we've done before, you click on the plus line, and now you see that custom page is right there. So we can include that. We'll go ahead and decompress that, and then we'll just click on Run Report here as well. Next up, let's go ahead and jump back into our property summary page because we want to run kind of the final report that I wanted to cover today, which is our custom trader reports. And so if you come to the map, and then over here on the right hand side you have a bunch of different little icons. If you click on the driving icon, this is where you have your custom geography tools. So you have your travel time, which is drive time. You have distance, which is how you can do like a 135 mile radius. For this one, let's do drive time. We'll click next. We don't open till 9 a.m. Mondays are really busy. And in the commercial side, that 3, 5, 10-minute drive time is typically what you're looking for. So I'll click next here. Google does its thing. And then we just click on Create a Trade Area Report. And one thing, looks like the property report has generated. One thing to keep in mind is we need to uncheck that custom page insert. So we don't want the investment analysis on our trader report, so I'll just uncheck that one really quickly, and then we'll just click on Run Report here. All right, so now we have generated all the reports that we're looking for. So what I thought we would do is just kind of walk through each of these reports and kind of show what your client would see when you kind of combine all of these and kind of show them the whole process. So we started off with our site selection, And so if we scroll down here, we have just a nice little map showing this was done by zip code. You can see where the hotspots are. And then down here, again, my favorite part, that benchmarking analysis, allowing them to directly see one zip code compared to the next, so they can see with their own eyes why you wanted to look in, these areas versus these areas down here. And then, of course, at the very bottom, all of the transparency of what the data is, how often we update it, and so forth. So the next report is the property report. So we found a nice little medical space inside of one of the zip codes that was highlighted through our site selection. And then down here, it's basically everything we looked at on the property detail page, just a nice streamlined manner. You have your list price, last sold price, price per square foot. As you can see, public facts, listing facts, all those refinements that I added to the system. Basic information, zoning details. We have a couple of overheads as well as the Google Map image here. We also have here in red, which you can see means that we changed it, the tenant that's information that was included. Continuing down, we have basic listing as well as facts and details, public facts, legal descriptions. Continuing down, we have our deed records, our mortgage records. We have more overheads and map views so you can see how far away from the interstates and major highways and transports it is. Any photos that were included by the listing agent. Then we wrap it up with some traffic counts here as well. So you can see, average daily counts for the areas. The top 5 is usually what we are going to be able to include. And then lastly, we added that evaluate investment analysis piece. And so here is, kind of the overview like we saw before with the annual cash flow statement wrapping it all up. Lastly, we have our custom trade area report. And so you can see here, this is the 10-minute drive time near Portland, Oregon, inside of the 97227 zip. We have our 3, our 5, our 10-minute areas. You can kind of see those broken down in the graph there. It starts off with our Esri Tapestry segments. If you want to dive into that, I encourage you to just go back to the playlist video where we actually talked about some of the Esri information and how they come up with these. But it's nice because you can see all the top tapestry segments for the area, and then we get into the more detailed kind of commentary, who they are, what they like, things that your client might be able to do to be more appealing or a better fit within that community. We'll do that for the top segments that are provided. And then we get into really your more traditional economic and demographic data sets. So total population. We have here anything that's in blue, that's the 2020 actuals. And then for a lot of these data points, the U.S. Census provides 5-year projections. So that's what that gold bar is representing with the numbers kind of written inside of it. So population figures are provided. We have female to male ratio, median age, population by age segment. And you can see a lot of this is correlating along with our site selection, which, it should. Marriage details, income levels, per capita, disposable, unemployment rates. There's other things. We didn't search for areas with high levels of healthcare employment, but it's nice to know that that's there, and that's probably going to be another selling point for our client. Education levels, commute time, how people are getting to work, home valuations, and that's it. So hopefully with this, you can kind of see how when you combine the site selection with the property report with an investment analysis and then wrapping it all up with this trade area, that when you present this opportunity to your client, there's a lot of information, a lot of data to back up your advice and hopefully guide them to a better decision for themselves, be that an investment or that they're going to occupy and run their own businesses out of it. So with that, I hope all of y'all have a great rest of your day. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to myself, Nathan G. at narrpr.com, or as always, we do have our 24/7 customer support, 877-977-7576. So thank you all so much, and have a great rest of your day. Take care.